Hey guys, it's Reynolds here. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit newer that a lot of my viewers have requested, and that's going to be a more Ironman friendly setup. A lot of my runs have been with the Shadow, because as some people know, I've had Shadow since basically day 3 of doing ToA. And a lot of my runs use the Shadow as a good talking point about things you can do, serve prayer and stuff like that Ironman doesn't have. And Ironman obviously doesn't have access to stuff like butterflying for Akka. So I made an Ironman friendly setup. So we have a Nezi face guard, and I know a lot of Ironman don't want to grind a Blood Fury. In my opinion, it's not very worth it for a ToA grind for an Ironman anyway. Better to stick to about 400s before you get a Shadow and kind of hard cap yourself there. That being said, I'm also bringing Barrow's Gloves for my Bowfa build. A lot of Ironman will be using Bowfa. I'm going to assume you're using that. I'm going to assuming you're using Trident in the Swamp as well. I don't own any Arams and I was too lazy to buy any, so it's just forget the Ancestral. That's the only thing. It's not much of a major increase anyway of DPS for an Ironman having Ancestral and ToA, so feel free to bring Arams in this setup as well. That being said, Bando's Godsword is going to be your primary DPS spec. I'm going to assume you don't have a Void Waker or Claws either. A lot of Ironmen don't, but if you do, feel free to try bringing one of those once you're comfortable. And if you don't have Saturated Heart, you can just use a Magic Potion. Not very important. So, first things first, let's pot up. I'm going to be using a regular range potion actually because I don't have a Misori body. I'm going to assume you don't either. You might need this to help break your 25 hit threshold for the boulders. I am going to assume you're using some Dragon Darts. ToA uses... It gives you a lot of Dragon Darts looking at this loot tab. And in my opinion, you should be using them for this raid. If you're going to be using a Bowfa, you're not going to use it that often anyway, the blowpipe, so it's going to cost you very little. We'll actually keep track of how many scales and how many darts we can use per raid, and hopefully that'll convince some of you guys to, convert. The person who also sounds like me a lot, Ice Cup, or I sound like him a lot, he uses Dragon Darts these days, so I'm sure it's sustainable long term. So the ratio I like to bring is 5 Restores and 4 Brews as an Ironman with this setup. Having said, I've never actually run this setup, so we'll see how it goes. Invocation wise, forgot, this is what we're going to be running. We are going to avoid more Overlords. I personally like them in my runs because I push really high invocations, but before you reach that point, they're really not worth it. And we're also running on a diet and dehydration both off. But we are running Ancient Haste on. I know that's a little bit more interesting to you guys, so let me show you how that's going to work out. We do have the 35 timer on. I'm fairly confident I can beat 35 timer, even with this gear. So, let's go in. First things first, you want to drop your stuff back here. I have a Fortic weapon now, so I can kill that a little bit faster. Do a 4-way switch. You can just keep praying Mage for this guy, it's not a big deal. Kill the Shaman ASAP, we'll praying melee. And also assuming you don't have Chinchompas. And I like to kill these guys for solving the puzzle if possible. Kill whatever's closest. If the Venom's closest, even better. And then stick on your blowpipe, kill the Shaman and the Venom first. Ideally the Shaman. But the Shaman was far enough away that I figured I can go for the Venom one first. I'm obviously assuming you have a Fang if you're going to be doing 400s, so I think that would be a pretty fair assumption. You can see I'm just doing these 4-way switches. These guys have very low defense, even at 400. If you look at their stats, they're in the negatives, so really don't worry too much about it. In fact, doing this might even save you some, very minor, but some crystal charges. Again, Venom and Shaman first. Shaman is better. You can like click the pillar and click the shaman to get some good, you know, like uptime. Don't bother ever using augury in this room. I didn't mean to melee it, but it worked out. I kind of got lost in the sauce on the switches. Now I should have hid from this shaman so it doesn't spit out as many thralls, but it's fine. Now, if you want to learn Red X and use it, that's perfectly fine. I brought these brews because I didn't want to Red X it, and I want to, you know, achieve this time as well. Not Red Xing helps also with time invocations, but it does increase your supply usage. So it's a bit of a, you know, neutral trade-off. So we still have 4 more restores. Not too concerned. But this room, I do recommend flicking. One-tick flicking every now and again. We'll open up with a beach, but we won't use 2 if we missed. The reason for that is we can sun if needed, but I'd rather dip into the brew stockpile than sun. But I do want the sun as a backup option if for some reason, like, I don't know, for some reason I don't want to brew. And yes, it is possible for me to bring only restores, but I do want to show also that the rate is achievable without, you know, like 8 restores and still having like a dehydro setup or something like that. So run straight down when you have boulder dash enabled, or just in general, so you can get to the bottom faster. So boulder skip. You can actually use this chance as an opportunity to brew up again if you really want to. I won't be using Death Charge in this raid, but I should have figured out a solution to do it. I should have brought Soul Runes in there or something and taken out the Death Runes out of this guy. Let's try it. We'll use a Fang Spec. So a little bit of optimization I could have done there. You can see it's procced, but I'll try to squeeze in one more hit, since Shadow actually delays it for a while. The Shadow Slam, that is. Rigor. And we'll see if we even need to heal. If we don't, great. If we do, we'll heal. Let's heal up. The good old classic 3-4 brew. Restore. Do it. And he's low. Let's finish him off with some Fang Specs. And you see, obviously, because I'm not sunning, I'm not using as much restore as I normally do anyway. But feel free to bring more restores and sun if you really want to. Not a big difference either way. Kefri should not use any restores. Or only 1 dose, if anything, because we're going to lazy flick it. And you can see I've kind of relegated my Bowfa for now, because you don't use it for a while. Yep, avoid the obelisk as usual. Always a pretty terrible puzzle to go for. Have my pings on? I don't. Let's join a party. Hey, ping. Oh. Sorry, I was just doing duos recently. Right, that I can go this way. Reality is, guys, if you're not achieving times or anything like that, which you should always have on at least a 40 timer, I'm sorry to say it, it's a bit of a skill issue, which is a good thing. If it's only skill you have to worry about, it just means you as a player can just keep working toward that aggressively. There's nothing wrong with it being a skill issue. If it's a gear issue, sure, but the whole reason of this video is I want to show you it's not a gear issue a lot of the time when it comes to just basic like 400 raids. So go ahead and use 2 Fang Specs early. And because we don't have our Overlords on, we can kind of dung anywhere. I'll dung in my usual spot because that's where I go for more Overlords. But it doesn't matter too much. I highly recommend not trapping the melee. So when this ranger spawns, we're going to just pray range. We're going to keep all our gear on. Just going to switch out the cape and the blowpipe and just start swarming. We'll do 1 stab, swarm twice, do 1 more stab and repeat. So 1 stab. Let's swarm. Also take their, so I'll just keep swarming. Not a big deal. And yes, this guy will chip through you slowly, but it's not a big deal. If we're concerned, we can carry some eggs, but that shouldn't be necessary. And it's okay to not swarm perfectly. You're just looking to save as much time as possible. Like I'm doing terribly on swarms right now. If you're doing better, you should have it around like sub, I think 150. But not a big deal, as I said. Just do some lazy offensive prayers. Offensive prayers drain a lot more prayer than protection prayers, so a lot more effective to lazy flick these guys than worry about your protection prayers and like 1-tick flicking. Getting battered a bit. It's dung in the same spot. Doesn't really matter where you dung. Let's position ourselves, get ready to hit the major. Swarm a bit. I got lucky there, but I should have Fang Spec'd it to help proc. That's all done. And then we'll just keep stabbing this guy to death. I'm getting a little on the lower side, so let's just protect ranged, and there will be no other damage the room can deal to me. Much better to protect range at low HP than it is to start brewing, because you're just gonna have to dip into your restore supplies stockpiling versus having to dig to brew and restore, which would suck as an Ironman. Now obviously don't get exploded by an egg. We'll just play it safe and not get close in. Could have probably ran here, but I didn't want to take the risk because I wasn't really counting when that egg was going to explode or not explode. And you can see I still have my sun, and I haven't really touched it. So if you don't have one, this might be a good raid example too. A lot of people are still grinding out their suns, so if possible, we'll try to use it as minimal as possible. So, bit of a slow run for me. A little bit rusty on no overlords. But it's not too bad. And it's up to you where you want to go next from here. Ak and Zabak are both pretty decent either way. Not really much of a difference, especially like, you know, as an Ironman here. So let's just do a normal Akka first. But we're just going to preserve at the end for Zabak, since you don't really need to brew for Zabak, but you might need to brew for Akka. Drop as needed. You should be pretty comfortable with your puzzles. If you do need to 2 down, it's fine. 85 binding is the threshold that you need to go for if you want your 1 downs, assuming you're playing correctly. You see I waited just slightly so I don't get burned by the laser. We'll sit close. Turns green, click while standing at least a tick away from the crystal, and you can complete your skip. And you see, I always smash my pickaxe, but that actually was not a wise thing to do. So if you're an Ironman in the future, don't smash your pickaxe. You actually want the spec for blowpipe specs. Don't do what I just did there. It's just a habit I have. Now, you want to take out your salt. That before going in. And we cannot butterfly in this room, so do not play for butterfly. Let's use our Book of the Dead too as well for a good switch. You do want to use augury. Go ahead and lazy flick some augury. I'm not used to the forward take timing. Now I should have had Death Charge for these shadows. It would have been really nice. Now you can use Bowfa, you can use Shadow. No, sorry, Bowfa or Fang for this guy. I highly recommend you sit on Bowfa. That way, in case you get phases like this, you can still deal with deeps. Just lazy flick augury is good. Now, having Death Charge is a huge advantage in this room as well, which is why I'm a little upset I didn't plan for it, because I would have more blowpipe specs for the shadows. Really keeps the room a lot more sustainable. Let's go ahead and blowpipe spec to heal up. And you see I'm kind of holding this one. I want to max out the capability of every blowpipe spec if I can. Back and forth action. So if the blowpipe's not going to heal me, at least, in my opinion, about 20, I'm not going to use it. Ooh. Oh, gotta focus. Let's continue to lazy flick. Just rigor. Always keep repair up. In case you make a big mistake, you can heal up quickly. Let's use our blowpipe spec to heal up a bit more. Yep. And you can actually kind of kite this guy a little bit. You see there, it saved me a hit. Okay, some back and forth action from here on out. And you want to keep an eye when you're brewing on your Overlord timer. Sorry, not your Overlord timer, your Salt timer. So make sure you heal right before that 15-second interval. Let's fix up our switches every now and again. Looking a little sloppy. And a blowpipe spec. Now from here on out, when you're on your last shadow, I highly recommend waiting on your spec. You want to save one for the sun to be some back and forth action into red, because when you're going into the last phase, the orb phase, it can get hectic if you're less experienced with it. I would say I'm pretty good at orb phase. Some of you may not be. That's why I want you to plan for as if, you know, you might take a couple of orbs and sun might be the only thing saving you in that case. Let's watch that 15-second interval. Heal up as much as you can. To be honest, I don't remember if Praying Mage is a difference at this invocation level, so I'm just not gonna do it. Watch your straight lines first, then watch your diagonals. As you get your third hit, you want to diagonally path away from Akka. About 2 ticks. That way, wherever he is, you'll be already heading toward it. And you can see I'm right-clicking him as I get that third hit off. So get ready. Third hit. 2 ticks, right-click, boom. I'm already going toward where he's going next. And you see, I'm ready to sun if I really need to, but I just didn't get hit. And you can still get somewhat reasonable Akka times, even without a butterfly. So don't be afraid about, you know, just playing the raid as well as you can. So we're going to be using Bowfa for Zabak. This is just nothing changes between any raid level for this room. Good old 32 before, pick it up, run to this row. Use water container on waterfall and solos. Run across. You actually don't need to dodge this one going backwards, so you should be fine. You need to dodge this one going forward. I think I just lost a tick there, but it's fine. You can see I'm using arrow keys and my scroll wheel to like manage my camera a little bit better. So let's turn on Preserve for this guy. We're gonna run out midway. EGS is your DPS spec for this one. Let's get that guy set up. Bowfa twice. And just BGS until you hit at least 20. Always step back 2 tiles when you're BGSing. 1 tile in case he starts to bite. It's not safe. No need to preserve yet, actually, because we still have salt running. I want to preserve in the last like minute when it starts ticking down below 124. Again, just lazy flicks. Pay attention to under his paws for when he starts his blood barrage animation, and pray mage right after you see it. For upset stomach, you want to generally sit on this area of the map for the first solve. It's almost always where the first set will be. That being said, there are some bait ones, so make sure you're very mindful of whether you're pushing it diagonally or straight line. Pushing diagonally towards Zabak with upset stomach can be a bait in some configurations, because the jug always explodes 1 tick after it, you know, collides with the rock. So it can explode, you know, like slightly in front of Zabak. That's a little unfortunate, but it's fine. If I wanted to play a little bit more safer, I can be standing on this side for the waves, the first set of waves, because it's always on the left side as well. I'm probably losing some ticks, but it's not too big of a deal. For the second solve, you want to be in this area. Some solves can be here, but generally this is where you want to be. Pushing backwards diagonally is fine, because it'll explode here. Pushing forward is not a good thing, because it'll explode over here. And that is not what you want. Alright. Reserving time. If I want HP because I messed up, you can blow by spec a jug. Let's just do 1 restore per Zabak. And we'll hold our salt. Messed up the acid a bit. Again, just lazy flicking rigor. You can take off your boots, but it's not much of a big deal. Again, if you have claws, it's a good time to dump 2 of them. When it's like sub 100 HP is good. But a lot of people don't, so that's why I'm not bringing it. Watch his paws. There should be a blood barrage coming soon. If we're lucky, it's already on mage. If we're not, it'll be on range. There you go. You really don't want to brew at this room, because your salt's going to run out, and it's going to be very sad. Alright, now we went power once already. Now we didn't go diet, so we can go life. And this bandage is the GOAT. You can do the entire P2 2 and 3 with just this bandage and some of your existing prayer potions. If you don't want to tap into your restores, then yeah, feel free to, you know, go out of your way and like pull out the scarab and the restore. Now, I highly recommend opening up with BGS and then just doing a, you know, just Bowfa or Fang, either way, both for similar DPS. I'm just gonna do the Bowfa. And we'll tank this 76, mine miss. After the first one hits us, we're just gonna tap the bandage and we're chilling. Honestly, you don't even need to tank the 76 since I'm not gonna use Sun for this room. And you see I'm noodling, that's fine. I'm not concerned. This bandage will carry us through the entire P1, P2. Got the bandage. Should have tapped it slightly earlier, actually, now that I think about it. Because I had 75 anyway. But it's fine. If anything, I'll just tap my brew before this one hits me. Tap the brew again. No lesson learned. Bandage a little earlier. Because it would have healed me in time if I tapped it. As soon as I tanked the 75, I should have tapped the bandage. That way I didn't need to tap that brew twice. But you can see it's still running, healing me as we speak. Summon a range throw. Range throw hits for both faces. I'll let myself get to about 40-ish and I'll tap the bandage again. Stand cardinally, either 1 or 2 next to the bombs like this. That way you can safe spot them. Let's tap the second bandage. Should have taken out the adrenaline. Bit of a mistake there, but it's fine. We can get away with a 3 down if we need to. I'll just pull it out and do 5 DDSs. You can safe spot here for this. I should have dropped some potions here so I can take out my adrenaline here. No potty hit, that's embarrassing. Alright. So we'll do 3 and a BGS whack. 4. 5. Resummon a Thrall. Now we'll just go to our range phase. Put up your DDS and stuff as usual. And then you can just go back and forth between these 2 tiles. If he throws a bomb, you can, you know, use any of these adjacent tiles like I just did. Or the prison attack. And you can lazy flick if you want to. Doesn't really matter. We'll dump the rest. And then we'll go into our BGS as needed. Now, I don't have a Void Waker or a good Vortex stabbing weapon. We'll go ahead and use our Artisan of the Sun here to hit the rest. 1 more hit and then BGS. Let's take out our Ambrosia. Take out a Scarab. We'll just sit here, hit for a while. Set up your 6-way switch for your BGS, because you do want to BGS once or twice for P3. I'm not used to the Bowfa cycle, so forgive me for the billions I've lost. Take someone to commit. Don't sweat the small stuff like having your prayer off for one hit or anything like that. It's fine. It's much better not to lose ticks than to worry about that stuff. Which is kind of hypocritical because I just said I'd lose a bunch of ticks with Bowfa. But we won't even need to tap the extra restore or the extra brew. We'll go for another BGS. And then for P4, we're just going to launch a bunch of BGSs until we hit, and we'll save the rest for emergency suns in case our Ambro gets tight and we use too much of it. As you're about to proc, get a little bit closer. Should have done it one hit earlier. Oh, it still worked out. Now, I don't recommend skull skipping at 400s. It's not very worth it, so let's go ahead and not do that. We'll overheal with our sun. Once we've completely used up the Scarab, we'll go into restores, so you can profit the most and not use very, you know, restores. I came in with 5, right? So this is the restore rain? It's kind of crazy. You might use more, but, you know, it's always good having emergency stuff. Same thing for the brews. You never know how down bad you can get, so should have proc closer to it, but whatever. Now we don't need the HP here, so let's just use our Fang or something else to hit with. Messed up. Didn't even notice I didn't get that last one. I'm gonna blame the West Coast. I'm an East Coast player, so I'm gonna blame that. Tap one so that if we mess up a trip, we're not likely to die. Definitely not used a Bowfa cycle. Or take weapon is weird. Pretty sure I could have hit there. And you can see our salt's probably gonna run out. Did I not switch? That's weird. Guess I didn't switch my prayer. Let's leave on preserve for the rest of it. We'll use the rage restores as much as we can so we don't use as much of our own. And since our salt's about to run out, let's use the last bit of brew that we can use in the raid. And Bandage has a stupid amount of value of no help needed, because you still get 2 bandages, which is about 200 HP worth, I believe. Which is why I highly recommend it for newcomers coming into 400s who aren't experienced with no help needed, because it's much better than less help. Less help is very useless. You get a chance at another brew versus 100% chance at this bandage, which has way more value. So let's go ahead and kill these. I can overheal with one last hit, but I'm not going to bother. Lost my Bowfa, where is it? There it is. Turn a little early so you don't forget. We're going to go for BGSs until we hit at least a 30-ish. And then we are going to continue the raid with just Bowfa until it's dead. With Bowfa, kind of want to just use open spaces only is what I would recommend. Or use shadows every now and again. We'll just go ahead and use open spaces only. And the reason for this is because Warden attacks on a 6-tick cycle. Bowfa attacks on a 4-tick cycle. So you can actually find some times where you can just basically use open spaces only. And you do want to be experienced with last row as well if you really need to. It's okay to take some lightning every now and again. If you do take it, you can just, you know, Ambro. Always be above 40-ish, which is, you know, like a boulder hit. Like, we'll tap it there just in case I get hit by that boulder and like a rock or something. There you go. 32 minutes. 400. Ironman setup. I only used like half the supplies it came in with, so you can add switches, add DPS specs as needed. Def Charge would have been nice to have as well. Very handy for Akka because I would have been able to cash in on 60% more spec, which helps for blow pipe consistency. Rewards are typical for what you're going to get as an Ironman. Nothing, but hopefully Ranners, Snapdragons, Dragon Doors. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has helped a lot of you Ironmen get some nice consistent 400s going on for yourselves.